Good morning and welcome to another Sunday live stream. As you might be able to tell from the picture, I have changed to yet another webcam, which brings us to our first topic of the day. So a couple of months ago, I had ordered this guy, Nexigo full 1080 autofocus webcam N660p. And in all honesty, it really impressed me when I first plugged it in. Somewhere around $60, $65 range, which, hey, I thought was reasonable. And so I started using it right away. Well, I've noticed in the last month or so that this guy has started developing a tendency to become disconnected during my live streams. If I nudge or bump a cable on my desk. And so the obvious conclusion was that I had to shorten the cable. So I took the advice of David over at the PE4 Doers channel, and I bought this guy, Depstech 2K QHD webcam. This one's about a third of the price of the Nexigo. And I thought there was a big change between my old Logitech C920 and the Nexigo. I think there's an equally noticeable change between the Nexigo and this particular camera as far as vibrancy of color and things of that nature. So, yeah, I picked this up and it, I think it's working quite well so far. So on that note, wait a few more minutes to see if anybody joins in. I did not get this particular live stream promoted as well as I normally do. And so this may go short, which is okay because I've got a graduation open house to go to today. My niece's boyfriend is graduating, and since I've known his family longer than she's known him, I figured I might better make an appearance. Okay. So one other new thing that I guess I can announce, and it's not completely finished at this point, but if I can get this to roll across the bottom of the screen, you can now donate to the channel on coffee.com. And, you know, their pitch is always buy me a coffee, buy me a coffee. So if you can afford to and you like the content that you're seeing on this channel, any help is appreciated. I am making an attempt this year to upgrade some equipment, and yeah, nothing, especially with COVID happening, this continuing to happen, nothing is happening cheaply. Good morning, David. You know what? I think I've already plugged your channel before you ever got here. I got a new webcam. This might look familiar to you. So I don't know if you missed my blabbering on about it, but my Nexigo developed a short in the USB cable and has been disconnecting randomly on live streams. So I ordered one of these Depstech cameras, and I have to say I'm impressed. I have to say that I'm impressed. So, if you feel like it and you want to drop your link in chat to that video, that would be great. So, today I'm feeling a little flustered. I was not really. I was debating whether or not to cancel this live stream, but I decided to push through it. Just the heat is taking a lot out of me since I was talking to a friend yesterday. I met him at a place that has no air conditioning currently, and spent about 4 hours in the heat yesterday. It was about 88 degrees. So my energy level was just completely zapped after that yesterday. And even though I'm in the air conditioning right now, I'm still feeling tired, and I think it's just a result of being in the heat yesterday. So no demos today necessarily. I might pull something out of my hind end before the end of this, but I don't have a really thought out planned demo, so we'll just talk about some things for a while and see where this goes. Yeah, I remember you saying that you had 2 of those Nexigo cameras for your live streams. So based on this one, I may be very inclined to order a second one. So, and I'm going to contact Nexigo to see if I can't return or exchange the N660 for a replacement. I mean, if I can't, I can't. I think I'm outside of the return period for Amazon, but I'll have to double check that yet. So, good morning, Carlos. Welcome. Okay, so enough about cameras and the heat. I think everybody is having a little bit of a toll taken on them because of the heat this week. But let's move on. The topic I wanted to talk about, or the first topic I wanted to talk about, is network monitoring tools. And I pulled up a couple of articles. And let me share my screen. Let's see, share screen. Okay, so I shared my screen. This is an article, and I'll throw this in chat so people can follow along on their own machines if they'd like. So this is talking about the 9 best open source network monitoring tools. And so, excuse me. So, of course, they have a list. Okay, tools for monitoring networks, for network monitoring. Okay, so a lot of these are ones that have been out there for a while. So the last one that I set up, I was evaluating this at work, and it was a combination of Prometheus and Graphite. And so these 2 pieces of software work together. Prometheus being an open source network monitoring tool that alerts users about all kinds of network related issues. And Graphite, as you might be able to conclude by its name, is more of the graphing and front end part, graphing and reporting and things of that nature. So those two work nicely together, and they give you some really impressive looking graphs and things to work from. I only ever really scratched the surface of this because about the time I got this set up at work, I had some other things go awry that I had to address quickly. So another one that's out there is Zabbix. Again, it's a free network monitoring system. Works with all kinds of infrastructure, including networks. It will monitor PCs and any kind of computer type thing. What I have done with Zabbix, it does have some limitations when it comes to what information can be pulled from network devices, and that all comes down really to SNMP. So we'll touch on that again in a little while. Nagios Core. This is one of those products. It's been around forever and a day. And this is one of the pieces that makes up NEMS Linux, which is the project that Robbie Ferguson has put out. And they are actually, it sounds like they're preparing to release version 1.6 later this year of NEMS Linux. And this is impressive to me because it runs on single board computers. Their roadmap for this is leaning towards implementing it in Docker. So that could be quite a change there. And they have had donations to fund the development of that part of it. So that is one thing I have read that is coming up for the NEMS Linux project. Okay, Monitorix. This is one I have not worked with. Again, it's being built as a network monitoring solution for the Linux ecosystem that shows network-related information as basic graphs for further analysis. And they mention right here has its limitations, but the platform is effective in detecting failures, long response times, and network security issues. This is described as a lightweight solution, and as such, it's not going to have a lot of the advanced network monitoring features as Zabbix or Nagios. And then there's Isinga. Not entirely sure how they want that pronounced, but that's my best guess at it. It at least started as a fork of Nagios, and it's gone in a little bit different direction as far as how they've developed it. So they do say it lacks some features of more comprehensive network monitoring tools such as Graphite and Prometheus. But the usability makes it a perfect choice for smaller organizations or beginners. There is Cacti, which is an RRD tool-based graphing solution, which I have covered a while back on the channel. And that really is deserving of a follow-up video. Good morning, Joe. Cajoling Technologies is in the house. Welcome. So Cacti, I have a video on that. It's really deserving of a follow-up video. And that was fairly easy to set up. And, you know, it's a lot of what it comes down to with many of these is taking the time to get all the configuration done. None of these are just going to monitor your network without configuration. You've got to take that next step. There are some things out there that you know, have their own facilities built in to do the scanning of your network, and they'll automatically add any detected devices. But those tend not to be open source, and they tend to have a substantial price tag included with them. But Cacti, and they even say here at the bottom, has a quite difficult learning curve. And then there is the nightmare-inducing Libre NMS. This was, I believe, a fork of Open NMS, or maybe they renamed it. One of my projects in my advanced networking class when I was doing my undergrad degree was to set up Open NMS, and my professor at the time had not got on board with the idea of installing software through packages on Linux. And he made us go and get all of the source code and all the dependencies and manually install it after we compiled the software. So I tend to shy away from this. Again, it's maybe it's PTSD inducing based on the experience I had, but it's worth checking out. This project has also been out there for quite some time. Tony from Quick Tech Solutions is in the house. Welcome, Praveen. Crazy. I don't promote a live stream, and I get a bigger or different audience than normal. Hey, maybe there's something to that. Okay, and then they round out the article talking about Observium, and this supports Cisco, Windows, Dell, HP, VMware, and other network types and devices. And so, you know, again, this is not a project that I am terribly well versed with, but I know it's been out there for a substantial amount of time. And, you know, many of these have been around for quite some time. So one place I like to start when it comes down to trying out new things is going with an appliance. This gives you a chance to do a proof of concept and decide if something is going to be right for you. In this case, Turnkey Linux has an appliance already for Observium that can be downloaded. And I will dump that right in the chat. So again, this is an auto-discovering SNMP-based network monitoring platform written in PHP, which includes support for a wide range of network hardware and operating systems, including Cisco, Windows, Linux, HP, Dell, FreeBSD, Juniper, Brocade, NetScaler, NetApp, and more. So at the risk of crashing and burning quite spectacularly today, since this is not prepared, let's go ahead and grab the ISO for Observium. Maybe we'll go through the install process. How far we'll go after that, I'm going to hold back a decision at the moment. But I think now is a good time while that's downloading. Let me put up a couple of questions on the screen. And you can respond in the chat. And so I'm just going to throw this out there. What network monitoring system have you used or evaluated? I'm curious, have you done something open source? Have you done something commercial? What is everybody's experience with network monitoring systems? Is this even something people are interested in? If it's not something people are interested in, we can always shift the topic to something else. But I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what people are using or might have used in the past. So looks like our download has completed. While people are responding, let's go ahead and start this process. Okay, let's bring this over here. Okay, so I've never really used network monitoring other than deep packet inspection on Ubiquity. That's fair. I think that's a good place to get a start. And it's handy that it's built in. Hello, USB Tux. Welcome to the party. So let's do a little breathing room. Okay, Carlos, Nagios, Grafana, and Prometheus, NetData, NTOP NG, and some WatchGuard aggressive DPI tool. Interesting. So, Carlos, it sounds like you might have had a little bit more experience with network monitoring, or at least with different systems than I have. That's very nice. Don't need to worry about display. Let's take a look here at our ISO image. Well, where did it go? Hold that thought. Oh, yeah, because it's listed under turnkey. Okay, so let's jump back here. and turnkey observium. Choose turnkey observium and make sure the network is set to bridged. And we can actually just go ahead and turn off audio since this is going to be a server. Okay. So, of course, we can go ahead and start the installer. And this is going to take a few minutes, so I'll get it kicked off and we'll catch up on chat. Okay. Now I've got control of my mouse again. I'm normally in Connecticut. Okay, I missed something. Great time for a shameless plug. Everybody, if you are getting something out of this, or maybe you have something to add and would like to, feel free to give me a like. I am very interested in continuing to grow this channel, and yowza. I done killed VirtualBox. I done crashed VirtualBox. Okay. So that does not happen very often. So let's force quit that. And we'll try again. Maybe we'll get there and maybe we won't. Okay. Observium is claiming aborted. Let's try this one more time. All right. That looks better. Okay, so we're just going to run through this as quick as we can. This is just a demo install, so I'm not going to worry too much about LVM or anything like that. Again, typically I use a lot of turnkey Linux for demos and proof of concepts, and when I go to install things, I tend to be a little more meticulous about setting things up. Okay, let's see. Tony says Ubiquity here as well. Back on the real job, we used SolarWinds. I wasn't much involved with the IT administration at that time, so I can't really speak to it. Heard that the head tech was pretty happy with it. Yeah, traditionally I've heard good things about SolarWinds, other than that recent hack that they had. So, you know, I'm not sure what that ended up coming down to, if that was a misconfiguration or if it was something else. I remember reading about it, but I don't remember all of the details off the top of my head. So, okay, reboot system. And when I was a full-time information security person, the network monitoring software was a very high security risk, usually due to bad implementation. Yes. That somehow does not surprise me. Somehow does not surprise me. A lot of those are SNMP based, and SNMP has been around for a while and by default uses a public community string that is available for anybody or anything to connect to. And I can see very easily where that would be a nightmare scenario if people do not configure that and put passwords on it. At our last audit of my current organization by regulators, they tried to ding us on not having one, but backed down when I showed him that the product he was suggesting was recently hacked. So I'm doing something else here that I don't recommend doing. Just to make it quick, I actually use the same password for the root account, the database, and for Observium itself, which I would never do in a production type environment or even something that's more permanently going to be on my network for any length of time. This, however, will be shut down and the VM will be deleted after this live stream is over. So, yeah. Anybody else want to chime in on network monitoring systems? And right now on my own network, of course, I have Unify equipment. So I've got some information available there. And, I just, I haven't had the need up until lately to really have something running full time, something dedicated. I'm starting to get a little more interested in that for a particular purpose, which I will explain momentarily. Okay. Okay. Not now. All right. Okay, welcome to your new Observium dashboard. So it's installed but unconfigured. So this is, your example of what it's going to look like out of the box. So I am near Lansing, Michigan, and we'll play with this a little bit, but let's see. Auditor wanted to make his audit job easier, like another organization in our space was using that gave him pretty graphs and have now stopped using it. Yes. I've heard those stories many times that they started out using something and they moved away from it. PRTG has been out for a while as well, though I've never got to implement it. Yeah, I've looked at PRTG a little bit. I have not implemented that myself. It does look interesting. I'm kind of torn on some of these because I would love to see, and full disclosure, I have not looked for, but I'd love to see a well documented and well promoted container based network monitoring system. I think that would be an interesting project to work on. All right. From David, I will be putting one in probably on my backup domain controller that runs Linux. I have not picked one yet. Okay. So that brings me back around to the reason that I've got for doing something like this, and it really comes down to the fact that I am having more stuff running on different segments of my network more of the time, and I want to make sure that I've got some facility in place to keep me updated on things and make sure that I am less likely to miss an update or you know, something that needs to be addressed, and to be able to do it at a better time frame. And so, you know, I'm looking at having something that will send me some notifications to email and just nudge me in the right direction. Hey, you know, this update's available, or something of the sort. The other thing, see you later, Joe. Thanks for coming in. The other thing is that now that I'm managing more WordPress websites, I am starting to implement things on the WordPress side to make sure that I'm getting updates for those websites when there's an update available, and not just having it show up in the WordPress dashboard. Because as anybody familiar with WordPress will tell you, sometimes you can get updates showing up 3 different times during a week that need to be taken care of. And, you know, it's I'm managing enough sites now that it's getting harder to take into consideration which site I have updated and which sites still need to be updated, unless I just go right down a list every time I do updates. Which may be what will end up happening. I may just start spending a chunk of my Fridays doing updates on things, because they need to be done. So my network is 100% isolated. Good way to go. I've got parts of my network isolated and parts of it a little more open, and I'm still moving some things around and reconfiguring some things. So yeah, good point, Tony. From a clean interface point of view, this looks very nice. And you know, I haven't poked around this a lot before. I swear that I've done one install of this at some point in the past, but you know, it just seems pretty easy going. You know, you've got adding a device. So this is going to be SNMP based again. And I know some of my devices have SNMP turned on, and I've got a private community string set for version 3, because I will not use version 2 or earlier if I can avoid it. I have had NEMS Linux on a Pi running on and off for a while. I think I've still got to get that completely updated, but I started down the road of the configuration and got sidetracked on other things. But it's one of those things that you have to go all in and do it, or don't do it at all, to avoid issues. So let's see. My dream would be something that includes a tripwire server engine with key PCs in my network running the client component. This is long term, however. Yeah. Now you hit it on the nose. I have 2 jobs, my current hated day job and YouTube. So the time to implement great toys is limited. Yes. So I am kind of juggling multiple jobs as well. So I have my day job at the library doing all the technology stuff there. I do YouTube, and I also have a consulting business. And it has been one of those situations lately where the consulting stuff has been taking up more of my time, and I've been less able to pour my extra time into YouTube. And I'll circle around to this in a moment, because there's a project that I'd like to get some brain power behind, some collective brain power behind, in a moment on a project. But excuse me. Time management definitely becomes an issue. Carlos, currently the WordPress instances are hosted by a third party in most cases. I have one management duty that is on a Amazon EC2 VPS. And of all things, they decided to, and this was the previous person that made this decision, but they decided to run WordPress on Windows Server, which to me makes no sense. But it's what I've got to deal with. So I'm trying to look at it as an opportunity. Now that I've got full access to the VPS instance, I'm looking at it as an opportunity to expand my skill set and work with more web hosting on the Windows side, because that is not something that I have spent a lot of time working on. So would you consider doing a follow-up after a week or 2 of monitoring? Yes, I would. So what I want to do, excuse me, what I want to do is I will get a handful of devices configured on Observium and let this roll for a week or so, and maybe 2 weeks, and then circle around to this. And whether it's part of a live stream or part of a recorded video, I'm not entirely sure how I want to do that yet, but that was something that I'd kind of been thinking about. And I kind of want to do a couple of these and approach it the same way, do a couple of weeks, and on each of them, just see how they go, what kind of extra traffic is on the network, because I'm one of those types of people that still likes playing with Wireshark and watching packets fly over the network, things of that nature. But yes, this is definitely something I would like to circle around to and see about doing a follow-up. There are so many things I would like to do, but no time. After your stream here, I'll be creating another tech short. All right. I've been watching some of those shorts, David, and I guess I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around them. Not yours specifically, but just shorts in general. To me, it feels like YouTube is just trying to save face and compete with TikTok. But I don't know. Maybe they really do have a strategy, a longer term strategy for this. I'm not going to hold my breath on it at this point, but and maybe I will come around to doing shorts. But right now, I'm just trying to juggle what I am doing. Sad to say, but that's kind of where I'm at the last month or two. Oh, glad that your wife likes her upgraded PC. Hopefully that'll last her a few years before you have to update it again. Same here, splitting my time currently between business, YouTube, and being a husband. Well, that's one extra job I can take off the list. I am uninvolved, and so that gives me a little more time, I'm sure. But still, the consulting thing is eating up a lot lately. So I'm hoping things kind of level out so I can spread more evenly the time outside my day job and keep things moving forward. I think it will be installation of an M.2 drive. Very nice. Maybe that'll be a good trial use for Rescuezilla and using their clone feature. So my other shorts have got a lot of views. They're easier to create. They are shorter, so they should be fairly easy to do. I did one, and it was just me talking in front of a green screen, and I've never really looked back and done any additional ones. I find the shorts are worth doing. They are quick and easy to do, and most of the time get more views than my regular videos. That's fair. That's fair. I'll have to think about it and try to compartmentalize it and approach it in a slightly different way, and maybe I can make a go of it. I'm also a grandfather, but that job is very enjoyable. That's great. I'm not there yet. Yeah. Since I don't have kids, there's not going to be a chance of me having grandkids at this point. So, unless I somehow meet somebody that already has kids and it happens that way, but I'm not holding my breath at the moment. All right. So I did want to pose a question here. This might be something that some of you have had some experience with. Let me switch out, turn off the existing banner, and let's turn on a new one. Uh, so I was asked yesterday um, to help with a project for a new doctor's office. It's a dentist's office. The guy I'd be working with, he was initially suggesting Ubiquity products. And I am not so sure in this situation that the routing equipment is up to the task. I don't really have an issue with their switches or their Wi-Fi gear, but I'm not an expert on like a UDM Pro or anything of that nature to be very comfortable making the recommendation for using that. So the information that I have so far is that the software that this dentist office is going to be using is cloud-based. There are going to be just a handful of office PCs, and then of course they are going to want Wi-Fi and to have a guest network set up isolated for patients as they come in. The Wi-Fi part of it, I have no issues. Setting that up with separate VLANs, setting it up with client isolation, all that fun stuff. I'm not convinced that the Unify ecosystem for the routing end of things is going to be the best way to go for an environment that needs to be HIPAA compliant. And so I wanted to pose this to everybody else. What, if any, experience do you have in this realm? What have you used for a firewall in such an environment? And honestly, I was thinking something more on the PFSense appliance side, where you have the support contract with it too. It's one of those situations where I don't yet have a lot of information, but it's one of those things I thought I'd throw out here. But I will likely be reaching out to Willie Howe and seeing if he would be willing to make some recommendations or potentially act as a consultant on the project or for part of the project anyways, to at least get us down a path. And I can handle configuration. That's not an issue. It's just I want to make sure that the equipment choices are solid at the beginning. So let's see. Well, let me catch up on chat here. I think shorts are a good way to reach a younger audience. I just can't with the interface or the way it's been designed in YouTube. Yeah. The one I did, I think I recorded it with my phone and then I still edited it on the computer and put it up. And this has been a few months ago. It was still relatively new at the time. And they have made changes since then. I just hold my DSLR in portrait mode, set my editor to 1080 by 1920 or something equivalent for 4K, and the editor helps a lot since it recognizes it. I do not upload the phone. I only use my desktop editing rig. Yeah, that's been my go-to method as well. I recorded the video on the phone, but I did the edits on the computer and then uploaded from there. It's a tough question, as the company I work with is just about VoIP, and we always go with SonicWall or Cisco Meraki for HIPAA customers. Okay. It's good to know. I know, I think it's Willie Howe has been really liking the Grandstream wireless products for places that are going to do wireless VoIP phones. So that would be my secondary choice there. When I worked as a consultant involving HIPAA, it was standard firewalls, but a little more concern with server security, like a host-based firewall or hardening tool. Yeah. Good point. Good point. I use edge routers all the time. Yeah, we actually have an edge router at the library I work with, so I'm familiar with the product. Those are solid. Check with Willie. I remember him saying the Ubiquiti's edge line was HIPAA compliant. The work I do, I don't have to worry about that since it's residential. Okay. Yeah. And Carlos, I know I've got some years on you, but I've long since, I mean, months ago, I deleted TikTok. It just seemed like a time sink, and of course, you know, I've got my one of my clients that I do website support work for and maintenance on. He started a TikTok channel, and that has blown up, and he's got somewhere in the 500,000 subscriber range already in a few months. So, yeah, I never recorded a video for TikTok. I just was kind of observing and trying to make a decision whether I wanted to do it. And at the time that I was doing the evaluation, there was not a lot of tech content floating through TikTok. So sure, I could have viewed it as being a trendsetter or something, but you know, since I acknowledge I have a face for radio, I didn't really see the point, I guess. Grandstream APs are outstanding and optimized for VoIP. Yep, I remember Willie saying that, and I've been keeping a close eye on them. I have not had any Grandstream APs yet, but I am very much watching. I still like my Unify stuff, but you know, it's one of those situations where you want to have a plan B in case something's not available and you have to push a project forward. So no TikTok for me. It's like the wild, wild west. Yeah. I did the wild, wild west thing when the internet was new. Since about 1994. I've been living in the connected world at home. For a couple years prior to that, it was a semi-connected world. Anytime I would go to school at the local community college, I would be connected there. They were still running a microvax at the time, the early 90s. And so they had the Vax lab where you had terminals, and then there was a PC lab where you could connect. You had to go through the Vax at the time to get access to the internet. Otherwise, you just had access to the campus network. And so I would download programs and things off from the internet, dump it onto floppy disks on the PC, and then take it home for use on my computer that I had at home after, doing multiple levels of virus scanning on it. But those were some fun times, and really shaped some of my approach to things. It's interesting how patterns have emerged and have just emerged, and you can almost see it as cyclical these days on things. So all right, we've got 12:04. Let's see. My adult children, well, two of them, have forbidden me from going into TikTok. Maybe they don't want me to see what they've been doing. Well, gee, it sounds like it's a competition thing, David. I don't know. It'd be interesting. You could install the app on your phone and just not make videos. From 1992 through 1996, I only used the internet in text mode with FTP. So yes, I would say it was 92 through 94 or 5. I only had text mode access. So the Vax had a text-based web browser, and of course, Gopher was still a thing in those days for a period of time. And then there was Usenet news groups that were a thing. And even knowing all this terminology makes me feel old. So, yeah. So anyways, yeah. Good times. It's not my concern. They're all over 30. Well, hey. You could always get one of those Guy Fawkes masks and go on anonymously and use a voice disguiser. You've got the technology. It does exist. Tony, gotta run. As always, thanks for the content. Look forward to the Observium follow-up. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the graduation. Thank you. I will see you later, and yeah, have a good one as well. Let's see. At that time, I was mainly downloading white hat security tools. Yes. I had not yet got the security bug, but I spent a huge amount of time reading anything and everything I could find online. Doing lots of research on lots of topics, and at that time a lot of it was still educational institution based, so a lot of it was a decent starting point for research projects and things. And at that point, the APA and MLA manuals had not really caught up to using online resources as references. So in many ways, it was the wild, wild west. And yeah. Okay. It was my job at the time. Have you ever heard of Satan? Yes, I have. I never got to use Satan, but I have heard of it. A lot of fanfare, but useless in the end. Okay, well, I guess I didn't miss much then. That was a Windows-based thing, I believe. Security administrator tool for analyzing networks. Satan. Okay, so it wasn't. That could be why I had associated it with Windows, is because it appeared in PC Magazine, which I was reading on a semi-regular basis at the time. I'm going to kill the banner. And it was defanged when the media started saying it can be used to hack. Yeah. Let's see. Developed by Dan Farmer and Vitsa Benema. Okay. I'm sure I butchered that name, but that sure looks like a German first name of some variety. Satan had fallen from popularity after the height of its popularity in the 90s. Released in 95, and development has ceased. In 2006, sechtools.org conducted a security popularity poll and developed a list of 100 security analysis tools in order of popularity based on the responses. Results suggested Satan had been replaced by Nmap, Nessus, and to a lesser degree Sarah, Security Auditor's Research Assistant, and Saint. Okay. I've used Nmap quite extensively. I used Nessus before it went closed source. After that, I've used Greenbone, Security Monitor, Security Manager, Greenbone Security Assistant, GSA. I've actually got 2 parts of a video recorded and edited. I've just got to get the final piece recorded, and that's basically ready to go. It just tells you how busy I've been the last, I don't know, month or two. So, a Greenbone security assistant. So, and Saint security administrators integrated network tool. So, Saint exploit penetration testing tool, remote management console. They've got a cloud version. And it's based on Satan. Big surprise. Big surprise. Okay. So, yeah, I've got, and shoot, I think it's on the other machine. Is it on this machine that I've got GSM installed? No. Okay, so it might actually be on this machine. Let's see. Yep, right there. GSM trial. So and the next question is, how much RAM did I give this? I gave that 8 gigs of RAM. So I'm not going to fire this up during the live stream because this machine only has 16 gigs of RAM, and I do not want to crash the computer or potentially crash the computer during a live stream. So I believe it was compilable in C and worked on Linux. That very well could be. Good morning, Jacob Johnson. Welcome. If you looked at the logs it produced, there were network vulnerabilities identified very well, but they chose not to funnel most of that up to the GUI in its official release. Okay, that's kind of a shame in a lot of ways, but I suppose I could see why they did it. Because that predates open source really being a big thing. Sometimes I surprise myself by remembering such mundane details. I need to erase some of that from my brain. Yeah. There are definitely days I wish I could run Rescuezilla on myself and just do a complete dump and refresh some things, make some new space. There are a lot of old details that I remember about things that have zero practical use today. Such as for the Tandy Color Computer 3, it had the setup I had double-sided, double density 5 1/4 inch discs. By default, the OS shipped with it in ROM could only access single-sided discs. So you had to do what was it? Poke and HD89F, comma, and 841, and A0, comma, and 842. So you had to do a couple of pokes and hit some things, and that turned on the double-sided capabilities that they did not have enabled by default. So, yeah, I use those so much back in the day that they're just still ingrained in my mind. I actually wrote a a basic program when I was still using the Tandy computer that it was a menu driven program launcher. And so part of the initialization sequence for this program was to turn on double-sided drives, because a lot of the software that I used and you know, some of my basic programs at the time were stored on the second side of the floppy disks. So unfortunately, my 5.25-inch hard drives were lost in a flood a few years back at my dad's house. And so I've been searching for the same models, because the model that I had was the one with the double-sided capabilities, and the previous model was only single-sided. It shipped with single-sided drives. So I keep watching eBay in the hopes that I can get my hands on a floppy drive system for the Tandy Color computer that actually has the double-sided drives in it. I have a suspicion that many of them have been lost over time or ended up in a landfill, and the people that still have them are holding on for dear life. But who knows? As my generation ages, I'm sure more of that stuff will pop up on eBay. But I can still write PDP-11 machine code from memory. Okay, I bow down before you, David. We're not worthy. You got me beat. You got me beat. I never worked on a PDP-11. I remember working on the microvacs that the community college had, and I thought that was just the thing back in the day. Ooh, peek and poke time takes me back to my early years. Yes. The PDP 1145 had a starting boot address in memory of 772.700 in octal. You key that in on the front panel with actual switches. Yeah, I missed that period. I was alive, but I was unaware. When IBM compatible 5.25-inch work, I have some relics in storage. I believe they use standard drives, and I've got the controller. I've got the floppy drive controller for the Coco. I just don't have the drive. I think a standard double-sided double density 5.25 would actually work. But I'm not 100% sure, and I'd have to look at the wiring diagrams for the cable, whether it's a standard cable or if it was something special. I don't remember those details, but yeah. Double-sided, double-density drives are probably not that hard to come by. I was just hoping to put something together that was very similar to what I had on my desk when I was 17. So like 30 years ago. It's scary. I was software support for PDPs for 5 years, so little things got burned into my mind. I have a 5 1/4 inch PC clone drive somewhere in my house. I'll have to look up the details, and maybe we'll have to arrange something, David. I know I'd have to get a power supply that has the Molex on it, and then I might still have floppy drive cables around for 5 1/4 inch. I'd have to dig a little bit, but I might still have a few around in a parts bin somewhere. But yeah, I'm the thing I'm most interested in is there is a piece of software called DriveWire that actually lets you access the drives. So like a 5 1/4 inch drive, I could have that hooked into a vintage PC, and it would let me basically do it over, have a serial cable connected to the Coco and access it that way. So there are multiple ways I could do this, especially since they've rewritten that software in Python now. I think you could even do it on a Linux machine. So I'll have to look look at the documentation for those again and see what's required. So I'll check my storage shed this evening when it cools down outside. If I have any, I'll send you model numbers free if you decide you want it. Well, thank you for the offer, Jacob. I appreciate that. I will gladly take a look at the model numbers when you send them through. My collection goes back to Apple II and 8086 era. Yeah, I missed the opportunity. I don't know, probably 6 or 8 months ago. One of the people, I guess, in my early days of using computers, so preteen up to, well, maybe not preteen, but tween up through say age 20. This particular person was the closest thing to a mentor I had. And he was big into the Apple II stuff, and he had real Apple IIs. He had I think a Franklin Ace, and he had a Bell and Howell Apple II. So it was the Apple II, but it had the black case. That was Apple built it for Bell and Howell. And he was selling off a lot of this stuff, and I had just made a purchase of something, so I didn't have the extra cash at the time to buy it from him. But I kind of kicked myself for not putting some money together from somewhere to make it happen. But they were selling the stuff pretty cheap too, so. The Bell and Howell was a fairly rare machine. So, all right, USB Tux, thank you for coming. Have a great day, and we'll see you later. All right. So we're at 12:27. We'll go for another 10 or 15 minutes and then wrap this up. I really should get that final piece of that Greenbone security manager finished up. Anyone remember the portable Apple IIc? I basically lived on that one through grade school. Yes. I do remember that. And a very similar machine to that Apple IIc was the Laser 128 series. And that was a clone machine that Apple couldn't force off the market because they did a white room reimplementation of the ROM, and they licensed BASIC from Microsoft. The advantage of the Laser 128, and I only know this because I watched some episodes of Adrian's Digital Basement, which is a great channel if you've never checked it out. Adrian is a marvel when it comes to doing recap jobs and making old machines run again. But he had done a teardown of the Apple IIc and the Laser 128, put some new capacitors on some things, and then explored the expansion port on the left side of the Laser 128. So ironically, I suppose, the first time I did any sort of teaching in the computer space was I was 17, and my elementary school had, I was in high school at the time. My elementary school had a computer lab that had Apple IIes and Laser 128s in them. And so I actually taught some fourth and fifth graders to do some very, very rudimentary programming in BASIC. So that was my first stab at doing any sort of teaching in the computer space. I would sometimes go home between the time I got out of high school, grab my Coco, and drag that in just because it was something different, and it was more games and programs that they could have access to while they were in this little computer club after school activity. So it was one of those things I had to have approval from the principal since I was only 17. And I had to have an actual staff member act as a sponsor for this activity. So it was interesting. I did that for 2 years. I think I did that until I was 19. And then, I was in school at the community college myself, so I just kind of let it go after that. But it was a good experience, and for a while it was something that I actually had put on my resume, but that takes me back a lot of years. So any other questions, comments, suggestions before we wrap things up today? David, do you have anything big coming out on your channel this coming week? I am very much at this point open to suggestions from people. So this is a bye week, so there will be no Thursday night live stream. So we will be back in a week on Sunday for the next live stream. And yeah, I can always use suggestions for topics. And you never know where things will go. Okay. I'll be putting out the review of my new RTX 3070 Ti. All right. I know I've missed a couple of your videos this past week. I knew you were in line, but I didn't know for sure that you had got one. So that'll be interesting to see. I think I've made the decision when I can get the cash together to do so, because of the high price on everything right now. I am going to pick up an M1 Mac Mini for video editing going forward. And that will buy me some time to watch for the pricing to become reasonable on some of the graphics cards and motherboards. And, maybe I'll wait until AM5 to build a new PC, a completely new PC. But I've pretty much decided to get a M1 Mac Mini. So it's just a matter of timing. So let's see. Okay, did that one. Finishing my replacement primary editing rig that I started on a stream. All right. Got the ROG Strix version. That is pretty cool. And Josh says it's awesome. Or excuse me, Jacob says it's awesome. My apologies. I see the Johnson last name, and I always think Josh Johnson because he was a good friend of mine when I was doing my undergraduate degree. And the guy is like close to 7 foot tall, so makes me feel short. One of the few people that can do that. I may be building a full high-end PC together and try to sell with the extra parts I have. I can give the buyer 3 cases to choose from, all new. So I've got a I don't even know if I can find a picture of it. So I've got an extended ATX case, and this dates back to the late 90s. Actually, it's something very similar to this, but it's got wheels on it. It's got a different power button, but I kind of want to make a sleeper PC and use this case and put all new guts inside it, because it certainly has the room. So I keep thinking about this idea. I've even thought of just going low end on it and putting like a mini ITX case in it with an AMD APU, because it would be way newer than anything else that is in this box currently. But yeah, I have this idea that I want to build a sleeper PC And because if I were ever robbed, that would be the last thing they would take, is something that looks that old. But anyways, it'll have an Asus ROG Strix 3060 Ti as a GPU, AMD 3700X CPU, and all SSD drives. Very nice. Very nice. I made the wife a sleeper PC out of an old 90s candy colored compact. Oh my. I had a legacy PC just like that. I tore to pieces in my first YouTube video. Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, I am going to I think I'll close this up. I don't need those parts and could use the cash to buy newly released stuff. Yeah, that seems like a good way to do things. It took longer to clean the case than to build it. I believe it. I believe it. I'm toying with moving my studio out of the office and into the extra bedroom, or at least, I don't know. The other room has some advantages that this room does not. So I've been toying with some ideas. I really need to repaint walls in there if I'm going to do that. But it's something that I would consider doing. So this extra bedroom, I had originally painted it a color that I despise, because my nieces were coming over and spending time, and now it's stuck a purple color that makes me not want to go in there, and so the room is just used for storage. But if I can move around some computer equipment, that would be a good place to put it. And it might be a better place to have the lighting and the green screen going forward. The bad thing about that room is that it's not in a currently air-conditioned part of my apartment. And so I'd either have to pick up a small window air conditioner to go in there, or put the big air conditioner on a higher setting and use an additional fan to blow it into that room. Which, I don't know. I'm still kind of torn on the idea at the moment. But the first thing I really need to do is get some paint in it and paint at least one wall. And, if I can get that part started, then I could move some things around and make for a different recording area. I'll probably still do editing where I'm at right now, but it would take some pressure off recording from the same space, and it would get the green screen out of here, which would make the space a little bit more usable for other things. So I'm looking at options, pricing some things out, thinking about paint colors. I've actually thought about painting the one wall this green screen color, but I'm not entirely sold on that yet. I still think that using the green screen that I've got, or perhaps installing a pull down screen that mounts to the wall would be a better longer term option if I ever had to, if or when I have to move out of this apartment and go somewhere else. So, all right. On that note, let's go ahead and wrap this for the day. Thank you all for coming out. I appreciate it. If anybody is not subscribed, please feel free to go down and do that if you're getting something out of this. I will throw this up one more time. I had this up at the beginning. I have set up a coffee account, so you can buy me a coffee. That's their pitch. I like this a little better than Patreon because they use PayPal as their back end. And PayPal seems to be available a few more places than what Patreon is for making donations. So that's there if or when people feel the need or desire to do so. I'm just trying to diversify my income streams a little bit with things for the channel. So, see, my green screen is the pull down paper version. Okay. Yeah, I've looked at the paper versions a little bit. I've also looked at the, it's not quite a cloth, but it's not like regular paper. It's more of the material that was used for like movie projectors in high school classes, junior high, elementary school, when I was in elementary school. Man, that dates me. 16 millimeter film. That would be a whole other conversation to have. So yeah, I'm definitely looking at options. This was a good starter place. My other green screen that I've got that mounts to my chair is too tall for the ceiling in this room. So that doesn't work out well. So I've got that over at the library right now for the random videos that I make for them that I'd want a green screen for. But yeah, I think this is a good place to call it. We've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. And yeah. Okay. What's nice about the paper is they are twice as long as they need, so you can cut off the bad parts at the bottom over time. That's definitely a selling point. I'll have to look at that a little more closely. So, alrighty. On that note, let's wrap things up for the day. Thanks everybody again for coming out. And I will see you next week, and hopefully I will have that Greenbone security assistant / manager video out this week. And don't be too harsh on the audio between the first two parts and the final piece, because I switched microphones from the Samsung to this Shure SM7B. So, yeah. All right. I staple a piece of molding to the bottom and hold it down and straight. Okay. All right. I will definitely check that out, and if I end up moving into that other room, at least partially, that will probably be on my list of studio items to acquire. So, All right, I'm heading out. I've got to go do this graduation open house and try not to get heat stroke in the process. Everybody have a good week, and I will see you in the next live stream.